call her Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutations to brothers out here, preach the words with truth and sincerity. So, the scripture tell you to remember Lot's wife. The reason why, who's Lot's wife? Lot's wife will pretty symbolize a non-believer, somebody that goes back into the world. Well, she went back in the world because she turned her attention, and there was the Lord asked her specifically, don't look back. It was told specifically not to look back. She looks back, she gets turned into a pillar of salt and ends her life, even though she's halfway out the escape. Even though her way is set. They're basically already delivered from the town of Sodom and Gomorrah and the 3 other cities before the destruction, but yet she turns around and dies anyway because she focuses her attention back on her possessions, what she left. All right, the basis of it all is you don't want to leave your possessions. When you think about the parable of the rich man, not the beggar, but the parable of the rich man who asked Yahushua, can I make it to the kingdom of heaven, basically. And Yahushua said, do these things. And he said, I've done all these things. So Yahushua said, the last thing you need to do is sell your possessions and follow me. And it says how the man walked away bitterly and, because he had many possessions. Remember the fallouts, man. Remember the dropouts, Remember the dropouts. Remember the men who was going hard, and then the Lord just took that whole spirit off of them. Now you don't even recognize them. After so long years, brothers, we sent each other pictures that we had in our phones years ago, and I saw a picture of myself with a guy who I wouldn't even recognize him today, based on who he was before. And it also makes me think of this guy who they used to call Element from Dallas camp. He was the head brother out there before the current elder took over. It was better for the job anyway. But this guy Element, all right, Yashawamba is that current elder for Dallas. But before him is Element, and Element had all these keen and wise things to say. I was watching him speaking when he came up to visit the apostles, around 2013. And this man was talking about fallouts even. He was talking about men that, staying humble and everything he said was on point. But the Lord, he didn't choose that man. That man wasn't chosen to be part of the elect. And so that information, this whole knowledge that this man had in his head, like a Rolodex, like a calculator, coordinates is out there. Like a human coordinates. The spirit was taken off this man. I've seen a recent picture of this man, smoking weed, doing what niggas do. He's back in the world. He's back in the world. So how does somebody go back into the world? The Most High sends them delusions that there's something greater in the world for them. The scripture talk about those that are sown on the wayside, those that were sown near thorns. You got men that's going to get this truth. The scriptures talk about they get it and they're glad. But then the evil one, Satan, and the devil, and the riches of things, and the love of the world, that takes over their spirit and leaves them hanging dry. I've never met a fallout, and I say all that to say this. I've never met a dropout that's doing better. Just doing better in general. Like something in the world that he missed so much. That's because he rationalized and reasoned with himself. That he reasoned with himself that everything on the other side is going to be green. The grass is going to be green on the other side. But guess what? Delusion. The Lord sent that delusion. All right, you got guys that dropped out the truth and then said they wanted to find themselves and become musicians. Next thing you know, the best gig they could get was on the subway. All right, you got guys that dropped out and was strong, headstrong men, focused, inspiring men once upon a time. All right, good with their craft. And then you find out they drop out over a woman and man, I've never seen a dropout do better, man. Fall out the truth and just doing better. Just like one thing about that man, he shot to the top as soon as y'all never do better. If I at least seen one, maybe Satan could use that and manipulate me somehow. Or you could be like that, brother. But I've never met a dropout doing better. I met people that fell out the truth and trying to find their way back to the truth. You might see a video pop up once, twice, a few scriptures, but that diligence, that's off of them now, man. Hey, man, when you hot, you hot. And the Spirit's on you to do this work and push this truth, that could be easily taken away. You want to utilize that, man. Don't be like that man that hid his talent from the master, and then when the master came, he said, you knew I was austere, or certain type of power. Like, you knew I would get angry at you. You knew I would hurt you or penalize you for not doing what I asked you to do while I was gone. Why did you hide it? So, same is going to happen when Yahweh Shah gets back. When Yahweh Shah returns, all they faces, man, their faces going to be shot. They're going to be destroyed inside when Yahweh Shah comes back on those chariots. How are you going to do? As the scripture also say, woe to you that desire the day of the Lord. And the scripture say, how about, how will you, woe to you that basically something along the lines of turn back. How will you deal at the Lord's coming? How will you last, or how will you survive at the Lord's coming? When the Lord returns, it's in the Ecclesiastes somewhere. You know, how will you survive basically when the Lord returns? What are you going to tell Yahweh Shah? Sorry? Man, when you got this truth, for the brothers that's pushing this truth, you got this word, go hard, man. This is what we born for. This is what we bred for. We didn't know it when we first was born. But man, this truth hit us like a ton of bricks, and everything else went to a full stop. And here it is years later, man. All them little wisdom and them jewels are starting to shine. The jewels, man, that was being dropped on us all these years, they starting to show. They just starting to get cut, show, because you gotta get trimmed up. You gotta get rooted in this truth. You gotta get pushed, bruised up. You gotta do the work. All right, you gotta get your hands dirty, so to speak. You gotta be out there at camp. You gotta be diligent. You gotta pray. You gotta fast. You gotta constantly believe and stay in the word, studying till you're tired, till you remember something. Then go back again and video watching. That molds you, man. You're not who you once was. And so as soon as the spirit goes off you, you don't contain that. You don't get the benefit once you fall out to continue to utilize that wisdom that you learn in the truth. The Lord don't give you the benefit to even keep that spirit of austerity and soundness. He don't even give you the pleasure of holding on to this wisdom and intelligence that he gave you dealing with this truth. These niggas who fall out end up being dead inside because they spiritually dead, as a dog returning to his own vomit. So will men who once had this truth and fall out. Scary thing, man. But just take the time and imagine. Take the time today and imagine the faces of these men that once served the Lord vigorously, fervently. And when the day of the Lord came, by the time the Lord came, they was back into the world. Think about how their faces is going to look in that moment in time for them, when them chariots descend down on America and throughout the world. And he know that's how it's shot. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Until next time, shalom.